All right, guys, hello, welcome. This is another episode of Is It Still Scary? I'm your host, Brian Ferenzi, and this is Maria, and we're joined by Bing, Mandy, Matt, and Eddie.
You had to say your last name. I told you, first names only.
That's what I do. That's what I
We all got first names. We're shared.
No, just go, I'm Brian, and this is Maria.
I'm Brian.
I want to keep this in. I really want to keep this in. This is amazing. Hello, welcome. This is It Still Scary? I'm your host, Brian, with Maria, and I'm joined by Bing, Mandy, Matt, and Eddie to discuss John Carpenter's 1982 fucking horror classic, The Thing.
Say its full title.
I say that knowing full well that some people here don't like it.
Which is actually a readaptation of the 1951.
Yeah, the Howard Hawks version, though. But I actually prefer Carpenter's version.
I've not actually seen the
So,
original.
there you go.
I just want to applaud your intro.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, guys. This took a really long time.
Intros.
Feed your ego.
Yeah, it's it's my first podcast.
This
It's our
is
first
just
video
gonna be
podcast.
you
So,
over and over going,
this is
hi,
your
this
second
is the
one.
thing,
Yeah.
the thing, the thing.
all right, so let's jump into it. I personally love The Thing. I saw it when I was a kid. Maybe that affected it, but I just loved the claustrophobia, the setting, the tension, the atmosphere. The effects are a little dated, but overall, I think it's a wild ride. I love watching it every single time. So
I agree.
I love the effects. I think it's an okay movie. It's very, paranoia filled. But
well, do you know where that paranoia comes from? Like, what the undercurrent of that movie was? Like, what they were going for?
yeah,
there?
who's the alien?
Please,
Well-
no, please do tell us what the metaphor is.
Yes, go on.
Well, the metaphor, and this has been mentioned several times, so it's not a revelation, but it's really what it is. What it was about was the AIDS crisis.
Oh.
No.
Yeah, during the 80s, it was about like this infection that was spreading and killing people, and you didn't know who had it. So it was very much. They don't hit you over the head with it too much, but what I liked was that it was a subtle sort of revising of the themes that were prevalent in the Howard Hawks version, where it was much more about communism and like you don't know who's a
Is
communist.
that why it's all men?
Well, I mean, it's
Okay, I
also
was
12
wondering that.
angry men.
It's also there's a lot of discourse about masculinity in there that you could read into, and that's why it's.
yeah. Well, like, what do you think? Where does it go there?
I mean, the original setting
Well,
was going to be Fire Island. But...
Well, it's. I mean, it's a little dated in its gender roles because it's an 80s movie. It's an 80s horror movie with a cast of all guys, and it was always going to be a cast of all guys at that time.
Yeah, I mean, that's Carpenter for you.
Yeah.
He's not very good with women anyway.
No,
Good to know.
but I
What,
mean,
personally, or
that like,
You know that.
this is news to me. I know the film, but I've not really read on it. I've
Yeah.
not really done research on it, and that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
That they would draw those kind of parallels because a lot of it is particularly where the main character is concerned. It's about ideas of masculinity and aggression and alpha and beta and who's in charge and who's not, and almost there's almost a kind of lack of plot sometimes that is the void is filled by those more primal ideas.
I actually understand it a bit more, and that's kind of like, but no, I have an unpopular opinion apparently, which
That's
is
okay.
I didn't know this because I thought I would be the popular one, if I'm honest, because it sucked. I was so bored.
No.
I was so bored. I actually
Okay.
played 2 dots halfway through.
You played 2 dots? Hang on, what's 2 dots? Because this has got to be interesting.
It's a fun game on the iPhone.
It's a puzzle game where you join dots together on
Yeah.
your phone.
Oh, and that's more fun
Yeah.
than the movie.
That's more fun than a legendary.
I was really
game-changing
disappointed.
See, this is the
80s
same
horror movie.
I mean, you were asked to watch it for for this kind of purpose, but it's the same kind of thing. We're going, yeah, I didn't do the assignment because I was busy playing 2
No,
dots.
I totally watched it, and I came back. I tried to come back into it in the end, hoping that
this
it would
is
get
where
better.
this is where we have ideological differences because by definition, like distracting yourself with a game is not watching the film.
It was so boring.
It's not what that's
It was
not,
so
but that's not
boring.
watching
And I
it.
knew what was going on. I knew they all
So like,
No, it's the same thing.
I knew what
It's
was
the same
happening.
way if you
What
just
was
turn off the
going to
film.
happen. I predicted that film in my
Predictable, yeah.
head. It
But
was
your,
just.
but your defense.
They're all just going to die.
You're not
Yeah,
entirely
and
engrossed in the
someone-
film.
But not even that,
You're not
they're
even
not
giving
even
the
gonna be
opportunity to
interestingly
be.
dead.
But your defense is
Yeah.
that you took some time out to play a game and then you came back, so you did watch the film.
It pulls you
No,
out.
I
You
did.
didn't
I
watch
knew
the
what
film.
happened in that film. I may have missed a couple of bits where I looked down and I went, "Oh, a square." But like, I know what I saw, and it was just kind. It
Yeah, with
wasn't even that
Pixar,
long.
you blink and you miss 3 months of work.
Exactly.
Why?
Pixar.
Oh God!
My God, I just played for a few minutes.
Forget
That's all it
Pixar,
was.
like Chicken Run or Aardman, any Aardman movie. It's like every second is like
Children were
I wouldn't do
born.
that, but this film was
Pets
just
died
like
in
long
those few
shots,
seconds that you were
trying to
checking your
build
Facebook.
tension. Trying to build
seasons
tension when there wasn't
change.
tension. Long shots. I knew what was happening each time because they would be like, "Yeah, it's the same shot. Cool."
Okay, so
Yeah.
well, let's jump in. Why wasn't it tense? Why wasn't it tense? For
I
you?
had no emotional attachment to absolutely anyone in that film, including the main character.
Okay.
Is it?
None.
I could
Is
actually
it again
agree with that.
because
Yeah.
you weren't giving yourself
No,
the
I
ability to be attached to the
No,
characters?
but listen,
through
now
having-
we're into the film and I'm not attached to anyone. That film ain't gonna get more like I'm not gonna get
That-
more
that-
endeared when half the cast are gone.
That is a reasonable.
Okay,
that
if
is
Channing Tatum
yeah.
was in it, would you care?
No, that film
that-
sucks.
I would.
that is a reasonable.
It's like Jupiter Ascending.
better be the one
I
that
didn't care
survives.
about that film either. In fact, that film is one of the worst films I've ever seen.
Wait, which one?
Jupiter Ascending.
Let's
Oh,
not
okay.
talk
Let's
about
not
it.
go. Let's just not talk
Okay,
about that.
wait.
But
Rubbish
this is
film,
a-
but looked great in the cinema.
But this is a reasonable criticism of the film. I think is one of the things that it kind of falls down on is likable characters.
Oh, yeah.
When your tension works best when there's something to lose, and if you don't care about your characters, then arguably you're not scared of losing anything.
I like that they're all kind of assholes. I like the fact that there is almost no redeeming person. They're all very selfishly trying to just
It's relatable.
stay alive.
You can still get
Because that's,
attached to
I
assholes,
think that's what
though.
would
That's my
realistically
problem.
happen. It's one of those things where everyone goes, in modern day movies, people go, for the good of humanity, I think we've just got to, do this for ourselves, and, we'll have to kill each other just to make sure that humanity survives. Whereas, have that setting, it's like, no, I don't want to die, whatever, no!
Yeah. That's
fine,
And everyone just like shooting, like holding guns up against each other, trying to just make sure that they are not the one that dies,
Best moments in that
regardless of
film-
whether they're infected or not.
Best moments are when they're tied to the chair and the guy's like, just get me out of the chair.
Oh, yeah,
'Cause you get that.
yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, cool. But like, you can actually be related, this sounds really weird, to asshole people, and you can like be emotionally involved, and that's great because I like Bing knows this. I love villains and stuff. Like I usually end up rooting for villains and whatever. I think.
So did you
know.
root for the giant tentacle squid beast? And
At one point, yeah.
I did at certain points.
At
Yeah.
one point, yeah, because these guys suck.
I hate dogs.
I mean, McCready is definitely he's a male power fantasy. So
Yeah.
watching it as a little kid, I was just like, McCready's awesome, and it's like when he loses to chess, like to the computer, he just pours whiskey on it. And I'm like,
That was-
what
I
a
was-
badass!
Yeah,
like,
nowadays,
like,
McCready is-
like that's the moment when, as a little boy, I was like, this guy's so fucking cool. Like
Nowadays, you look at it like it was the 80s, dude. That's worth like $3,000.
yeah, he just destroyed that
And
computer.
you're in the Arctic. Where are you going to get another one?
It's his only friend, and they're all assholes because it's like, think about the type of person you have to be like, yeah, I want to go out to the frozen tundra where nothing can survive for months and months on end. It's like you got to be a loner type
Yeah,
to
but
want
I
to
should-
do
Well,
that.
Kurt
Yeah.
Russell has
Give
kind of
credit
been playing
to
the
the
same
dog.
character forever.
The dog is maybe the most sympathetic character in the whole movie. I'll give that to you. But even
Again-
then, it's the thing when
Even
we
the
see
Again,
ones
with
I saw
the-
for
Yeah.
2 seconds in the rest of the bar, I was just screaming. I was like, oh, those poor dogs.
all the other dogs are freaking out. They're trying to get
Oh
out.
my
Yeah,
God,
the,
yeah,
the
I
innocent,
was really
the
sad
innocent
for them.
poor dog again with the parallel that the initial infection comes from some unknown beast.
Yep, exactly.
I think
makes
also
sense.
with horror films, I think there's, because with films you've either got something that's very heavily story led or very heavily character led, and sometimes you can have a predictable story, but the characters are interesting enough to carry you through, or yet the film's very interesting, it's got a good story, but the characters are very bland, and so both are kind of average. So I think in this situation with horrors, because they tend to be so very situation based, it's about what's going on around them, and the characters are really just, I guess, fodder. Just to be taken out one by one in various ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, I mean, most of the story just delves into, okay, who is the thing right now
That's over
in
half
this
the movie.
room?
The story is really whether it's going to get to civilization.
Yeah.
Whether it's
Yeah.
going to complete it.
And
I don't think it's not really about that. It's about paranoia. It's about these people. They almost don't really care.
I mean, it's
they,
like
they may seem like they
saying
care,
the
but
AIDS
actually
virus
they
will
care
kill
about
people in
themselves.
10,000 days.
It's a film about, it's like a little microcosm about about
Yeah.
paranoia the same way that like the original novella I Am Legend is about loneliness.
I actually
And
prefer
what
that
would you
more,
what would
actually.
you do in that situation? Would you let the entire world
I would
die?
shoot everyone and then walk away.
Yeah, you gotta burn them. Hey, you gotta burn them.
I would. Well, fine. I'd burn everyone regardless, and I'd be like, well, at least I'm alive.
Yeah. But see, that's the other thing too. Is like the way they know that they can kill it is fire, and that's also going to destroy everything around them and then expose them to the harsh environments that are around them. So it's in a way, it's another parable. It's like, well, we can go ahead and just wipe everyone out and make
Yeah.
sure that there's no way this thing survives, but we'll be destroying our society as a whole in general. Like the way, like. And I will admit that, like, not knowing at all that was what the metaphor was when I was watching the thing the first time, I still thought it was rad because I just loved gory, crazy, over-the-top prosthetic effects when I was a kid. But now that I see it, like, it has that extra layer that makes me go back and keep watching, even after I know, okay, in this scene, this guy's the thing. In this scene, yeah, he's the thing now, and he's the thing. Because once that's spoiled for you, the tension really is sort of out of the room.
Yeah.
Oh no, this is the best thing. I've not seen it in such a long time that when I rewatched it, I was so excited that I didn't know who was.
Yeah,
who
you
was
forgot?
it. I was
oh,
so
that's
happy.
great. That's great. Like a blood test. It's like now that I know like when the jump's gonna happen in
Yeah.
the blood test.
That
and
was
I'm like,
something I liked. Is like I finally got lots of South Park references.
yeah.
That's for people our age. That's kind of the point of watching
Yeah.
old films. Sometimes is I get that Simpsons joke. Oh, I get that Futurama.
yeah.
This is again one of those points. Is everyone goes, oh, it's so much funnier when they do it in the series. He goes, you wouldn't have that joke if you didn't have all this other stuff before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It was the touchstone. The other thing that I love is this all like 99% of the prosthetic effects in the thing all were one guy. One 19 or 20-year-old kid named Rob Bottin
He was
Yeah.
good.
made them all,
Amazing.
and he worked himself to exhaustion and collapsed before he could do the last big one. And that's when the giant thing monster assumes its final form basically
Yeah.
and faces off against Kurt Russell. He couldn't do it. He passed out like from exhaustion. And so they called in Stan Winston to come in and build the last one, and it's
Yeah.
not as good. Stan Winston didn't do as good a job. Like when that final monster shows up, even Kurt Russell is like, yeah,
it's not-
fuck you, and then just does like a tumble roll and throws his dynamite. It's like, all right, well, we're done with
And
that.
it's gone.
It was like that was Stan Winston's effort. Meanwhile, Rob Bottin, this untested kid from out of nowhere, just blew the doors off the place with all
Yeah.
these other crazy effects.
Yeah, and the head coming off of the table.
Yeah, the head,
Insane.
and then when it wraps the tongue around, it's clearly reversed footage, but it still
yeah.
looks so good.
Yeah.
And then those little spider legs popping out.
Yeah,
That
that
is-
was bizarre.
This is the thing. Like that is the thing about the thing is the special effects.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah,
it's one guy.
definitely.
It's one guy
Yeah.
who did it all.
It's
I
a
think that's
it's
amazing.
it's a body horror movie about special effects. It's
Yeah.
more than AIDS, more than paranoia, more than anything else. I'm watching it as
Yeah.
a filmmaker and
Yeah.
just admiring how incredibly
Yeah.
versatile and visceral and real
Yeah.
that style of thing
Yeah.
is that we kind of left behind.
It's just the way it vibrates. It's just like the
Yeah.
way when it's stretching off. It's just like
Yeah.
it's vibrating. It's
Real-
clearly the machine
real-
is like.
Yeah.
It is the realness to it, like
Yeah.
because it's practical. You know it's there. You know the actors are
Yeah.
seeing
Yeah.
it as well.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like
And so-
models in sci-fi.
Yeah, or
know
in
it's-
Aliens
You know
with the
they're
chest
only this
burster.
big,
That's why Star Wars 1, 2, 3
but you
doesn't
know
work.
they're real.
But like it goes back to the point where like the final thing is definitely not as great because you finally see the whole thing, whereas
Yeah.
in your head you
Yeah.
see like you know it's
Yeah.
got legs and a dog bit and a head
Yeah, it can
human
do
bit
anything,
and it
yeah.
can do anything. So in
There's
your
more
head it
fear
makes it
from-
really weird.
Yeah,
And then the final form is just kind of like
it's just like it's all of them at once.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, yeah.
There's more fear from what you don't see.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and the
Or
fact
maybe
that
it's the
it
same
has
guy's like,
no-
I don't know what he wanted to do. Maybe I'll just glue them all together.
And the fact that in its metamorphosed state, it doesn't have a single form. So it is like we're like in other things.
Symbiote.
We're being the information is being withheld. The information in this case being that like what its actual form is, because we only see what it's kind of absorbing and morphing through.
Right. Yeah, we never
So
really get to know what that alien
And
is.
even by the end, that final form is not. It's not a final form, is it? It's just the combination of all the things that it's
Yeah.
been.
Yeah.
It's been morphing between.
It
Still
knows
don't really
that
know what it is.
it's like it knows that Kurt Russell is the last one, and
Yeah.
so it's like, well, him and Childs anyway. So Keith David, who I love in that movie as well. But anyway, so
yeah, I've
it's
been
like
playing a lot of Saints Row lately, and just with Keith David.
yeah. Oh, he's amazing. Keith David. Every time his voice shows up in something, like he's the cat in Coraline. I love hearing his voice every time. It's amazing.
Such a boring film, though.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
he's awesome in it.
Nothing
I love
happens.
the cat.
Nothing happens in that film.
James and Giant Peach did it better.
just so you know, that's what I thought of the
Hey,
It was
Boom.
boring.
Something
Oh.
happens there. He starts living inside a
Sandy.
giant peach pit.
Yeah,
That's
there's a plot.
fantastic.
Well, that's got like the Alice
In
in
Central
Wonderland elements. You know, it's a series of events. You know,
Child learns stuff about growing up by having a big dream sequence of a movie happen.
I mean, that's a lot of like stories, I guess, of that time where it's like event, but they're all set pieces,
then they run back
and
to
then there's
their
a thin
lives.
thread that connects the
Yeah.
lot, and a lot of horror follows that as well.
James and the Giant Peach could have really used
Giant
a blood.
piece.
Yeah,
James the Giant.
could have really used a blood test and like spider legs popping out of the head and stuff like that. That's what that movie could have used.
All right, let's try the caterpillar.
Definitely.
No, I thought the thing sucked.
Oh, okay. Well, when we return, we'll try and convince Mandy that the thing doesn't suck.
You just did.
It's not gonna work.
No.
Dude Bro Party Massacre 3 is out now. If you haven't seen the movie we spent the last 3 years of our lives making, go to iTunes or to our own website at dudebropartymassacre3.com to download special editions of the film with bonus features, including behind-the-scenes footage, gag reels, and loads of 5-second films content. Our website also has info on upcoming screenings, so be sure to check it out and see if Dude Bro is playing in a theater near you. Thank you for supporting our channel and our film.
Just come back. Well, we tried. That's why Mandy's not
We
longer
tried,
here.
we're out.
We did a blood test of Mandy. She was a weird monster thing, so she's gone.
It turns out she
We don't
is the
have
thing.
So we were talking about practical effects, and I don't know if you guys ever saw or knew of the 2011 prequel to the thing.
Where
that
it's
came out?
where it's in the Norwegian one. I was told about it by Casey, but that's all I know about it. I wish I'd known about it because I
really-
thought it was a remake.
It's one of these things where it's funny that you mentioned I Am Legend, but the directors of that movie, the prequel, I guess, the 2011 prequel, wanted to go practical. They wanted to stay true to the 1982 version, and producers said, "No, you're not. No. You don't understand how things work now. There's a whole pipeline. We're going to outsource these effects to Korea. You're going to shoot this quick and cheap. We're not going to waste months waiting for something to come out so some kid on his iPhone can look at it and be like, oh, it looks fake, and then like go back. No, this is all CG. And it's the exact same thing they did with I Am Legend. The director wanted to have, he got like Cirque du Soleil members and like really had them work on like the aesthetics and their body movements to get them to crawl up the walls and stuff. And then the producers were like, no, stop everything. This is going to be CG.
Oh, that's such a shame.
It's just the way it works now. And so
that producers ruined I Am Legend as well. Not just that, but the ending as well.
oh my god.
No, you watched the
They-
alternate cut. They have
I
a second cut.
watched the cinema cut.
Yeah, don't
the
do that.
cinema cut is
Don't
one of
do
the
that.
What's the difference?
They got their tiny slice of victory by including the real ending on the DVD.
Yeah.
So in the film, it ends with Will Smith. He's got all the
Spoilers.
vampire. Yeah.
Who cares?
This kind of
I
given
didn't even know
with
they were
this.
vampires. It took me ages to realize they were fucking
Well, they
Spoiler
don't
alert.
need to be vampires.
So they're like
They are,
vampire
because it's
monsters,
some-
and he has one of the females with him, and they're trying to break in, and he thinks they're just trying to kill him.
Yeah.
So in the end, he gets rid of the other two he's been sheltering. He pulls a grenade, blows himself up, takes them all out.
Yeah.
What's supposed to happen, and what's the original ending,
Yeah,
was
which is
that
all shot and it's on the DVD.
throughout the film, it's all like these creatures, they lost their humanity, they're lost, they're gone.
Yeah.
But they've actually, they haven't. They're trying to get her back and take her back. And so in the end, he just opens the door, lets them take her. They just exchange glares, and then they walk and they leave. And he's like, oh, okay, they haven't lost their humanity. I've been wrong all this time. And then he just leaves with the other two.
And he
so
feels like a
kind of-
dick.
that's
It's
what
so
everything
good.
was building up to. Like the fact that they had lost their humanity and these
Why
are
did they
just
completely
monsters.
change it like that?
Because it wasn't actiony
It
enough.
wasn't
It
Hollywood enough. He needed to blow up.
He needed to blow them up, and he needed to like save them all with like the cure. Like he was developing the cure that saved them, so he's the legend that saved the day.
Yeah.
So
It turns out the actual reason behind the title "I Am Legend" is that he realized that now there's this new world, this new age of vampires,
I would
and
love to
he is the
see-
monster.
Yeah.
He's a monster who's killing them. He's their legend.
Yeah.
So I get it. He
And
fucks
so-
up, so it's called I Am a Legend.
Yeah. I would love to see a movie adaptation, a modern movie adaptation of I Am Legend that actually takes that ending from the real book, because the end of the real book is a stirring piece of fiction.
Yeah, he's a relic now.
He's a relic, and he doesn't realize that they actually have their own society, and they've moved on. The world's moved on, and they like put him in like a museum and like a zoo, and he's just in this kind of, by the end of it, he's just in this like glass case with a toilet and some food and whatever, and he's like an artifact to them.
Yeah, I enjoy the DVD cut a lot. I actually really like that film.
I wonder. I would have liked it more, I think, if they went with practical. But the thing
No,
is
I
like that will never happen again. So you'll never see a movie like that. You'll never see a movie like the thing.
Well, no, you don't say never.
Again.
You just
Someone's
like
gonna
it
do it.
takes. It takes. The
You'll never see
particular-
a studio picture. You'll never see anyone throw millions of dollars. Someone's got to do it on their own.
Yeah, it's because if you do it digitally, you can fix it.
Yeah, exactly.
You do it practically, you got to
just like get all the actors together again.
Both.
I mean, there have been a lot of hybrids.
People have done that, like Where the Wild Things Are is like
there's
they're
a mixture of puppets and
they are half practical, and then they did some CG.
CGI faces.
I may just be making assumptions, but I'm assuming everyone here is probably more on the side of practical effects than digital.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Is
one
that
of the
something
reasons
you-
I love.
That's what the thing holds up to me.
Was
That's
that
the
something
only
you
part
did
I
a
liked
lot
about
in
the thing.
Dude Bro?
Yeah, in Dude Bro, there are a ton of it's mostly practical. I will say that like some of the effects didn't work quite the way we wanted to, but it gives it this odd sort of charm. It's sort of thing where it's like, well,
It's
that
not
didn't
bad.
go-
It's charming.
It's like sometimes it's great that something didn't happen exactly in your head the way it was supposed to. Otherwise, you might wind up like Peter Jackson, just like making like your perfect little hermetically sealed world where everything happens exactly the way it's supposed to. It's like a
And it
fluid
has
little
no soul.
video game, and then it has no soul because the human that necessary element of
Yeah.
accident just didn't make
Like the
its way in.
stormtrooper who bumps his head.
Yeah.
I love that little bit.
Like in the thing when Kurt Russell, like they all turn and and the guy goes like, "You gotta be fucking kidding me!" And then they see the spider head, and the spider head's like, "Ah!" and he just like gasses it with a fire. And then like when they shoot it, they're like, "Okay, so what are we gonna do?" They clearly had somebody, because the spider head is off like right next to the doorway. Clearly someone is off there with a pole just like shaking it. And so it's like when it's on fire, the spider's going like, "Ah!" Like it's so fake the way that its little legs are just kind of shaking.
Yeah.
Clearly someone is just jittering it up and down on a pole, but it's like it
I
the
love
fire
things
wouldn't
like
even
that.
be real.
They do it in Jurassic Park as well. That's like half
Oh, yeah.
cosmetics and puppetry and,
Oh, yeah.
and stuff like that. And that's an incredible movie.
Yeah.
And it can be done. You can mix the two together seamlessly.
And
Yeah.
both are getting really good. Puppetry is amazing. It's just expensive.
Yeah, it's really that's
They're
the thing.
actually-
Like they're trying to cut
There's
costs.
only
In
a number of studios that do
Jurassic
it
Park?
so well, and they can basically set the.
There
Yeah.
are
Set the
some
cost.
there are some overlooked gems when it comes to special effects. One that I always hold up is Men in Black. The first Men in
Yeah.
Black
Oh
film.
my
The
god.
first Men in Black film. I won't go on I won't give you the whole essay, but Men in Black 1 is a perfect movie, and I'll stand by that, and I can explain why.
It's my favorite movie. It's one of my favorite movies to watch when I'm sick. I remember when I was home
Yeah.
from school, I'd watch that, Liar Liar, and Austin Powers.
But
the first
special
one.
effects wise, it got it. Like
Yeah.
they knew that CGI wasn't great yet, but they wanted to use it. So you got like little bits, the dragonfly at the beginning, the alien toward the end.
The
Certain
head
things
guy
are
at the
enhanced digitally.
Little bits with the worms, but mostly
Yeah.
practical effects.
And then most of it is puppetry and animatronics and real effects and goo, and you still get that thrill of like it's alien because it's gooey and he's got this like residue on his hands. He got
Right.
vomited on by the little baby thing,
And even the way it
it's
moves. It's
Yeah.
like, it's
and then
so good.
when they do use CGI, they use it a lot of the time in wide, like when the baby is being delivered and he's getting whacked around by the tentacle.
Yeah.
That's like a mixture of CGI and him on a rig and maybe a puppet of him as well, all in there. But it's in a wide because they knew the limitations of their equipment. They knew exactly what they were doing,
And that was a time when there was like a harmonious balance between practical and CGI, where they could help each other out.
and there was
then-
still the budget for it.
And then I think now that like I want to put it at like Gollum. Like when Gollum happened, everyone was like, CGI everything. It's like the producers are like, we've done it, gentlemen.
You lay
We
the-
can fire every puppeteer. We can bankrupt Stan Winston. It's over.
You
But-
lay the fault
Yeah.
squarely at Gollum's feet.
It's him.
He
Jar
was
Jar
so
Binks.
good.
Jar Jar Binks was the first horseman of the apocalypse,
He actually
but it
maybe
was
slowed it
Gollum
down
that
a
It
bit.
came
wasn't.
in.
Yeah.
I don't think it's Gollum solely. I think it's when they started saying, "Well, we're going to make the Hobbit now as well," and then the first thing they did was, "Well, we should do a new version of Gollum, I think. Then, so we'll make it see what he looks like. And this is one of the first previews they did was of Gollum, and they go, "Oh my god, it looks even better than the first time." And then all the other studios are going, "Well, fuck it." Let's just
So
keep
much
doing
of it comes
more."
back to the economy, though. Like even between the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings, you got a discrepancy of so much money between the budget of the Lord of the Rings.
It's the same thing, not just
Hobbit.
characters. It's the same thing in terms of set design. People would rather have a massive green screen set than try and build something like, say, Wes Anderson built the entire of the bloody Grand Budapest Hotel. Incredible set design.
Yeah.
And nowadays it would just be.
And it feels real. And then compare it to like the Star Wars prequels, entirely green screened, soulless, meaningless.
1,000 extras, and you can
But-
pick out the 10 of them that are doing the
Yeah.
same thing in a little randomized pattern.
Titanic almost, well, the majority of that was practical effects, apart from the crappy bits
thing
which are
with
meant
the-
to be set now. But that's
The thing with The Hobbit is I actually fell asleep in the cinema with that. It's the first film as an adult I fell asleep in. Because it's a special effects circle jerk. It is not a good film. It is not well written.
I mean, the original Lord of the Rings were circle jerks, but they were circle jerks for other reasons.
And they were endearing, like, especially the first one I think is a bit more endearing.
Oh man, go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but like after the first one, I just kind of lost more and more interest because it just became special effects circle jerk, and doesn't matter really what they say because here's all this lava that's like incredible. The room,
Right.
But considering the opening bit where you see the Hobbit holes, they're real. You know they're real, and that's you're
that's
immediately
nice.
invested in that.
And I remember when I saw it with my mom, we were all watching this movie, and my mom like loved the Hobbit books and like Lord of the Rings when she was a kid, and she watched it, and immediately when she saw like Frodo come tumbling out of the Shire, and it's like, oh Gandalf, my mom just started crying, and I was like, Mom, what's wrong? She's like, it's here, it's really here. She imagined it, and it was like Peter Jackson grabbed the memory out of her brain and was like, poof, and
Brian-
she's just like, he did it, they did it.
and
what
then,
I was like
halfway
that
through the
about
film, he started doing
Harry
this.
Hobbit trilogy. Again, another invention of the producers. They were going to, first of all, it was going to be Guillermo del Toro. Peter Jackson didn't even want to do it. They said,
Oh, that
"No."
would have been so cool.
And the producers were like, we don't want him. We want you because you made us the money last time.
Well,
and
and
then
his name carries.
Yeah,
his
weight.
name is
Yeah.
marketing.
his
power
name
in
would get them
itself.
his name would get
Exactly.
people in the doors. It's like we would obviously have to say it comes from Peter Jackson and then just say directed by Guillermo del
They
Toro.
let him have his gap year with King Kong, but then he came back and did the rest.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest about the Hobbit films. I watched the first one. I enjoyed it more than Lord of the Rings. I watched the second one. I thought it was okay. The third one has been on my shelf for about 4 months.
And you've not watched it.
Yeah.
I've never watched the second and third one.
They're
Just-
bad.
I don't even remember them.
my interest has
They're
gone
so
down
long.
and down ever since. Just like,
John Worley had a screener and we watched the first 5 minutes of the third one. The
oh
third
no, I've got the
Hobbit one.
screener. I may have it longer than a lot of other people.
And we were just like making fun of the first, like when the dragon is attacking the river village or whatever. In
See,
the,
this sounds ridiculous because I haven't even seen the film. It's just like.
it was like the first 5 minutes were just like, this is so stupid. Like it goes on and on. It's like this first set piece is like it could be done in 20 seconds.
Yeah.
It could maybe not even have to happen at all.
That's something films have lost. Like again, Men in Black, like setup, film.
Yeah,
Well,
one of
you
the
know-
other reasons that Men in Black is a perfect movie is that they know how to tell a story.
Yeah.
in
You're
a
really
100-minute
selling
movie,
Men
right?
in
So
Black.
Watch
It's
Men in
so
Black
good.
next time.
Men in Black is a comic movie, right? It's an origin story, and it has a whole other plot that starts like simultaneously with the origin of the new character, the new recruit, which then ends, and his adventure continues while this general arc of the bad guy is happening. They don't need a whole film to do an origin story. They do it like
In
they
20
used
minutes.
to in 15
Bing.
minutes.
Is it still scary?
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 Is it
That-
still scary?
It makes me a bit uncomfortable when he's stepping on the cockroaches, but it was never meant to be scary, really.
I was scared of it
Is
as
it
like
still
an
fun?
8-year-old, but it's
Still
Is it still sci-fi?
It's still sci-fi.
Yeah,
It's
but
still Will Smith.
so-
and he still looks the same.
I did see the Thing prequel, and I have to say it's like I liked the ideas. Like when they were going for the big set pieces, clearly what they had would have been amazing if it was practical. But since it's all CG, it's just it all just rubs right off you. There's one great bit that I love, and I just wish they did it. I just wish I could have seen it done practically. But it's when like the Thing is like upside down, but arms akimbo kind of, and it's like crawling towards another
This is
guy.
ridiculous.
And he just like the guy's screaming, and the Thing just like comes up right next to him and starts rubbing his face on the other guy's face. And the guy's just like and like they keep cutting back to the other people are like light the blowtorch. It rips off the Thing from 1982 so badly. But anyway, shamelessly aping it. But they're trying to get the blowtorch lit while the guy And then when we cut back, it's just like merging faces with the other guy, and then just kind of carries him off that way. Like the thing, the thing just starts to like walk away and just drags the guy by his face.
They
Like,
did that in the 80s with the fingers in the face. Like, that was perfect.
That was so
and
good.
him pulling him behind like
Yeah.
as an
Yeah.
extension
I mean,
of him.
some of the issue with making the prequel is that they go to the station, they've seen exactly how everything happens, how everyone dies, and they can see it all laid out.
Yeah, it's all laid out.
If it's not exactly laid out like the same
Yeah.
way, then it
That's
wouldn't
the,
work.
that's the problem is they're beholden to it. They're like, okay, so how do we get double face guy? And it's like, well, this is how double face guy happens: is the thing just kind of rubs his face on the dude and then carries him off. Like
The
they
end
have
of the
the
film has to end
Well,
with a dog escaping.
yeah,
it's like
exactly,
being
and
nuzzled
that's
like a
exactly
cat.
what it
It's
is.
something I don't
The
quite.
It's
Norwegian
silly.
camp.
The prequel is the Norwegian camp because so it's like you know when Kurt Russell and all them they go to see the other camp and all the
They could have
horrible
done
stuff
double.
that's
Yeah,
happened.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, we
That's
that
actually
is
got a
the
really
movie.
weird piece of the man that's like frozen with the blood frozen.
And-
I was like, probably
Yeah.
freeze. Like,
No,
I guarantee
no,
you'll
not that
see-
quickly either.
No.
It's like that. This 2011 prequel is for everyone who watched that. I was like, I want to see that movie, even though I wasn't.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, it's cooler like this,
Yeah.
just as an aftermath.
Again, withholding
Yeah,
that
the-
info.
I mean, in
Yeah.
terms of Two Faces, they already did that in the first one. The guy has the chest, rip open, bite the doctor's hands off. The head comes out, and I was
Yeah.
like, okay, his head's there now. And then it cuts back to the table. His head's on the table. He's got two heads.
He's got two heads now.
Like,
Cool.
there, two
great.
heads. We don't have to explain it. We don't have to explain all that. It's got two heads. Fine.
Yeah, just keep rolling.
I think it's an element of just treating the audience with respect.
It's got
you know?
teeth
It's
in
like,
the stomach.
Just like treat an audience with an element of intelligence, they'll run with you. If you treat an audience like they're stupid, they're going to be stupid and not understand it. But if you treat them with like respect, then they'll come along with you.
To me, like
Unless they're stupid.
Unless they're stupid.
Unless
But
they are
if they're
stupid.
18 plus, you can guarantee they've got a basic sense of storytelling.
Hopefully, you never know.
Maybe. I mean, you hope when you grow up with fairy tales, you know how a story arc happens
Yeah.
and stuff. But
Exactly.
I just like-
McCready and Childs run away together and live happily ever after.
yeah. That's the
Who is the alien at the end?
Oh yeah, that's
Between
right.
those
The
two.
big question at the end is like, who is the alien? Is one of them the thing? Are none of them the thing? Are they both the thing and they're just talking to each other?
That's a particularly 80s thing that they do. We
Well, the
don't
point is,
see
is
that.
No one knows.
if both
Yeah.
of them had
I
the
actually
infection, they
liked
would
that.
go off together. If
Yeah.
they didn't, neither of them had the infection,
Yeah.
they would go off together. So it's ambiguous.
Mandy
thing.
liked
Yeah.
it.
I no, I liked that bit. I liked
Yeah.
their little exchange at the end where he's like, "Well,
just
one
gonna-
of us is like this. Well, one of us is lying. Or
Yeah.
we're both lying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we're both too tired to do anything about it.
Here, have a drink.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna sit
Let's
here.
get drunk.
In terms of the prequel, you know that what happens. He goes right. He goes off and he's chasing the dog in a helicopter. Then let's go to the actual film where he lands the helicopter. The helicopter blows up. He kills the person that basically jumps on the crate, and then he gets shot in the head.
Yeah.
That's kind of a shitty ending.
Yeah, it's a pretty dark.
But that's
ending.
how. But you know that's what's gonna happen. It's like, well, that guy's fucked. Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
get to the end of the prequel, you're like, well, okay.
They're slavishly tied to what happened when they go explore it in the 1982 version. So it's like there's no
Did they
surprises.
show that again, or did they
Uh,
just?
no, it just ends with the dog running away and them chasing after it. And it's like you, as a fan of the 1982 version, will be like, "Oh, and then I know that this ties
If the
together."
dog, I would have I would definitely have cut off like the dogs run away. They haven't gone yet. They're like, I like the idea of them going, and then ending
Then
it
it would
there.
almost work. It
Yeah.
would almost be an ending.
Yeah, no,
We should take the helicopter. I don't think it's a good idea with all the explosives in it. It'll be fine.
Another one of my favorite bits is just when they lock, and I'm forgetting his name right now, but it's Wilford Brimley, basically, like the old guy.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
They lock him away,
And he build a spaceship.
and he builds
Yeah.
he builds a whole spaceship.
Oh,
And it
yeah.
happens so fast. Like
Yeah.
he creates a whole tunnel, and,
I'm
and
fine
your
now.
brain imagines him just turning into the thing and just whirring and just like
He should have been able to do
carving
that
out the
before.
tunnel.
What time has
Yeah.
passed?
Yeah, that was my my thought was he should have been able to like escape and
To
do
be
all that.
fair-
Like,
that's what he was trying to do.
yeah, but like
Well,
even
they're
before
there for a reason, aren't they? They're on an expedition of some sort.
That's actually something I want to talk about with someone maybe knows the film a bit better than me. I want to talk about the time condensing. Like, I got the feeling that, particularly in scenes like that, but a few other ones, that this film is supposed to be happening over a lot longer than we think, than we're experiencing. Is this film happening over? Is it supposed to be happening over days or weeks or months?
I thought it was at most a week.
I think it's less than a week. Where there's the potential for time to have really passed is, of course, that really enigmatic scene where the dog is walking into the room, and then you turn and see a shadow, and you don't know who it is, but you see the shadow turn and look, and you know that whoever it is, that guy just got thinged by the dog.
Yeah.
And then we fade to black, and it's like, I'm pretty sure there's no real indication of how much time has passed since then, but I don't think it's very long because the thing just feels like it wants to survive. it's going to move as fast as it can. I mean, it's trying to be clever about playing its cards, so it doesn't show itself unless it's absolutely cornered.
Yeah.
But I think that like I think that overall it takes place in like a few days, a week at most.
But it's interesting that that's left quite ambiguous.
Yeah, I mean, it's like time just merges into whatever when you're out there in Antarctica.
That means the spaceship happened over the course of what, maybe a day or two.
Yeah, he's
So
Basically.
To be
he should
fair,
have
when-
totally been able to do that between the dog arriving, or like because he has other forms, he could have just
Yeah.
like managed to
He
hide.
could've-
somewhere.
There's a lot of
but he
arms,
could've-
a lot of tentacles and everything. He's not doing anything else, is he? It's not like he's decides he'll read the paper for a bit or for half an hour.
He could have been
Yeah.
working on that throughout all the different forms that he took. So he could have been working on that not from dog's shape, but
No,
definitely
because he
from
had
that
to
first
be.
guy.
He had to be.
And then he just picks
in
up where
that
he left
shed.
off when he's the next person.
yeah.
He had to be in that shed.
Well, the spaceship is. Well, it's not, I keep saying it's a spaceship. It might not be a spaceship. It could just be there for the sake of
really
getting to
rad
civilization.
moped.
Look, see, the fact that we can still have conversations and questions and debate what's going on in this movie that many years from now, I think means I'm going to come down. I say it's still scary. I think it works. I mean, maybe it doesn't scare me anymore, but I'm plugged in every time I watch it.
I find it tense, and I think
Yeah.
that's enough to say scary.
I'd agree with that. I'd say it's not scary. It's definitely tense, and I love the effects.
Yeah.
But it's not.
One guy.
But you know what?
Well, two
I
guys.
think I probably prefer the poster, Drew Struzan's poster, more than the movie.
Really? Drew Struzan.
I love
It's a
Drew
great
Struzan.
poster. I love the poster. But the movie is that's what you're
Could
there
you look at the
for.
poster for an hour and a half?
Yeah, I could. You don't understand. I have like an obsession with Drew Struzan.
Yeah, me
Struzan made the
too.
poster in one night as well.
I'm, like,
I-
obsessed.
Oh,
with
if you
him.
could get him to do Dude Bro.
I think it still works.
How
Yeah.
much would that
I'm
cost?
coming down on that. It's not. I don't think it was ever supposed to be particularly scary. I think it was. It's a psychological film about tension.
Psychological
And so
thriller.
it was not.
Yeah.
It didn't have the same intentions as other films categorized as horror to begin with.
Okay.
So, but it still works. It still achieves its goal as far as I'm concerned.
I think the movie is obviously. I think it's not scary. However, I do think it's an interesting case we can learn things from, and that doesn't make it like unimportant. It is a very good film for us to watch for that reason, with the makeup artists and everything. But I thought it was really boring. There's a lot of boring films you can learn a lot from. Even if a bad movie, you learn how not to make that bad movie.
Right.
So
Okay.
Yeah, people keep doing it.
some films you just really don't want to see though.
Eddie, what about you?
Well, as someone who hasn't seen the film, it sounds very interesting, and I'm very engaged.
I knew. I was just waiting to see what
like-
you'd come up with.
I thought, would you just skip me and just kind of...
We just like having you around, Eddie. That's why
We're putting your review in this. Definitely.
you see.
I mean,
it.
I live here, so like, I don't know who you guys are.
Thanks for the
You've got an awful lot of lights in your house.
Yeah.
I
and
like it bright.
cameras. Don't tell us why.
You and Alison get up to some interesting stuff.
All right. Well, guys, thanks very much. Tune in for episodes in the future where we'll talk about scary movies as The Bling Ring.
What?
The ding-a-ling.
The Ding-a-ling
Thing. The Bing.
The thing.
Crazy Little Thing Called Love.
Mean Girls.
Mean Girls.
It's a
Thing
guy
Girls.
girl thing. 10 things I hear about you.
It's a guy thing.
10
and
blings
many
I hear
bling.
about you. 10 rings I hear about you.
Jupiter.
I'm just trying to think of things that rhyme with thing, and I'm really struggling.
Yeah.
Can we
Wings.
do a whole episode where I just recite my essay about Men in Black, please?
Yeah. Well, I think that might have
Can
just
I be
happened.
there for that?
Yeah.
And that sounds scary.
Yeah.
Tune in for Is It Still Men in Black? Hello, everyone. That was episode 2 of Is It Still Scary? You can follow us on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/5secondfilms. You can also find our podcast on iTunes. If you search for Is It Still Scary, it should come up under the podcast section. And you can watch the show, of course, at youtube.com/bforenzy. We have a new episode coming out every 2 weeks on the 28th of September. That'll be 2 Mondays from now. We have Nightmare on Elm Street, the Wes Craven classic. And then 2 Mondays after that, we'll be doing Scream. So check back in when you can. And thanks as always for supporting the show. Let your friends know, and we'll see you next time.